The bad teams in Major League Baseball this year are really bad, and the good teams are feasting. All the teams are trying to take out the Detroit Tigers from the number one spot, but are the Tigers themselves just keeping the seat warm for the Dodgers? Well, let's see what is going on in Major League Baseball. Welcome to our power rankings for May 12th. 2025. First of all, a few honorable mentions. We have the Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, it was just a few days ago I put them in my 3 down as a team that was just heading the wrong direction. And yet here we are. They go and sweep the Mariners on the road. But honestly, losing that series to the Angels before that tempers this enthusiasm, this hype just a little bit. However, it is a really good sign. Bichette, Springer, Vlad Guerrero Jr. give them top of the order punch that allows them to string together hits and put together good, crooked numbers throughout the game multiple times. Canadian fans are loud, loyal, but tired of blown leads. The window is open for this team, especially with the Yankees not pulling away. They're only 3 games back, but for how long? All right. Next honorable mention, same as last week actually, is the Minnesota Twins. We put them as an honorable mention kind of in the middle of the pack. Now they are knocking on the door of breaking into this top 10. They are on an 8-game win streak powered by Joe Ryan with a .63 whip in 26 strikeouts over his last 3 games, I believe it was, last 3 starts. And Duran is just absolutely shutting the door when he gets the opportunity to close it. The Byron Buxton trade buzz is starting to go quiet, which for me as a Mets fan is definitely saddening me because I was hoping the Mets could maybe try to make a pitch for him to join our outfield. But if they keep this up, Twins fans may finally believe just in time to get bounced by the Yankees in the first round of the playoffs once again. Also riding an 8-game winning streak, and also an honorable mention again this week, is the St. Louis Cardinals. Despite they have nobody who would be considered an MVP candidate right now, Fedde has been stepping up alongside Sonny Gray, giving them a really good 1-2 punch, but they have a brutal schedule ahead over the next 2 weeks at Philadelphia, at Kansas City, versus Detroit, and versus Arizona, if they can do that. Now, that being said, Victor Scott is still buried in this lineup while hitting .290, putting him in the 9 hole. I understand that it's great to have a guy like that to turn the lineup over, but right now I would be looking to move him higher. Even the best fans of baseball maybe are going to be starting to question the manager's logic here on all of that. So the class and the history of this Cardinals organization is still there, but the patience is wearing thin. All right, now we have our top 10. In number 10, you've got the Philadelphia Phillies cracking the top 10 this week. Kyle Schwarber leads the National League in home runs. Trey Turner is scorching with the bat. The two of those had 20 hits combined over the past week. Zach Wheeler continues to dominate. He is both the innings leader and the strikeout leader in the National League. And Nola also is looking like his old self again this year. This core is aging, and the opportunity, again, like other teams, is starting to kind of run out. This window is narrowing, and the tension at Citizens Bank Park is not just real, it's earned, and it's only going to get more and more urgent over the next couple of years if they can't do it. This is maybe one of the last real shots that this core group is going to have to make a run at the playoffs this year. Number 9, you've got the New York Yankees. Now, is Jason Dominguez actually going to be a Yankees prospect who's going to live up to the hype? Well, he hit 3 home runs this past week, and fans are cautiously hoping that they were right about him and that he is the real deal and not just another overhyped Yankee bust. Juan Soto's return to the Bronx comes this weekend as the Mets are coming in, and it's a revenge series. Remember, the Mets took all the games from the Yankees last year. With Aaron Judge, Paul Goldschmidt, Carlos Rodon, and Max Fried in place, the expectations are sky high, but they really need this supporting cast to step up beyond this. Yankees fans might not admit they're nervous, but they will start booing if things go sideways before Memorial Day, especially considering that torpedo bat start that they had. Number 8, you've got the Chicago Cubs. This is kind of a big fall, but they were probably propped up a little higher than I should have had them coming into this week. This was a rough stretch, but they're finally emerging from this brutal opening schedule. It's one of the worst, hardest opening schedules I think I've ever seen a team have. Now, over the next 3 to 4 weeks, they have series against Miami and the White Sox, then at Miami and at the Reds, hosting the Colorado Rockies and the Reds, and going to Washington to face the Nationals. This is the stretch where they need to gain ground, and really they could put up a nice lead in the NL Central here and bounce back from what has been a really good start against a really difficult schedule. It just kind of seems like it wore out on them. Hopefully they've got the strength to come back. Seiya Suzuki was showing signs of breaking out in this series against the Mets that they just wrapped up. Cubs fan vibe regardless. Wrigley will be full of believers if this team can get on a winning streak here, thinking that 2016 could repeat itself in 2025. Number 7, another big faller we have this week, is the Seattle Mariners. They were swept at home by the Blue Jays, a hit to the confidence, and not just a hit in the standings. And of course, it's only going to lead Mariners fans to say, is this going to happen again? Are we going to get off to another good start and just fade down the stretch? They have an upcoming Yankees series that really feels like a litmus test for them. Was April real or fool's gold? We're going to kind of see how that plays out. Mariners fans are cautiously optimistic. Again, there is a really good core base here. There's good pitching, and Cal Raleigh continues to lead this team. But they really need this team to matter after decades of suffering. If things don't stabilize, the philosophy of the roster build here is going to go back under the microscope once again. Number 6, you have the Kansas City Royals. They have been red hot. They were cooled the last couple of games by Boston, who definitely is a team that I think is worth keeping your eye on. But they're still 7-3 over their last 10 games. Bobby Witt Jr. hit over 400 this week, and Michael Garcia swiped 7 bags over the last 2 weeks, showing they've got both power and speed on this lineup. Michael Wacha continues to develop quality sport. Wow, let's try that again. Michael Wacha continues to deliver quality starts for this Royals team and is giving a little depth to this rotation that maybe nobody was really expecting to be as good as it has been. Royals fans know the deal. Stay in the hunt or emotionally check out when Chiefs training camp opens. So, let's see how this Royals team can sustain this. Number 5, we've got the San Francisco Giants. I really don't know what to do with this team. Every time I'm ready to count them out, they come back with a great series win. And every time I get high on them, they come back and get swept in a series. For example, this week, they won a series against the Cubs, and then they got swept by the Twins. They're inconsistent, but they're hanging tough in probably the toughest division in baseball after playing against maybe the second toughest division in baseball in the Twins and the AL Central. Logan Webb remains a steady ace for this team, but this lineup needs a leader to emerge, or at least someone to complement Wilmer Flores, so it's not so much pressure just resting on one player consistently. So Giants fans shouldn't be rattled at this point because they've lived through the torture, and they've also lived through a dynasty season as well. And you never know when you have a team that's battle-tested and goes into October. Sometimes they can put on a nice run. However, beating the Dodgers and finishing ahead of the Dodgers is still ultimately the bar that the Giants fans want to see this team do, and they're going to get a crack at that again soon. Number 4, you've got the San Diego Padres. Look, in 2 out of the 3 games, they absolutely obliterated the Rockies. Now, that's not saying too much. In fact, honestly, they probably wish they could have had a few of those runs back on the Sunday game to complete the sweep of the series. But nonetheless, Manny Machado and Jackson Merrill had 24 hits between the two of them this week, and that's not even including the contributions of the rest of the lineup and Fernando Tatis Jr. still being one of the best players in baseball. The Michael King signing may be one of the best signings that any team made and is definitely providing a rock in the starting lineup for the Padres. These fans, for the Padres fans, you're loyal but on edge because we know there's just kind of this inevitable what's going to happen at the end that's going to end up leading the Dodgers to be ahead of them. But so far, this looks like a pretty complete team, and it has been consistently so from the start of the season all the way through now. Before we get to the top 3, please make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, appreciate your time. Massive thank you to all of our patrons, specifically Darren and Byford. We appreciate you supporting this channel. There's a link to the Patreon down in the comments below if you want to help support this channel. Now we get to the top three. In number 3, you've got the New York Mets. They won the series against the Cubs. This has not necessarily been the flashy Mets team that maybe some Mets fans were hoping for, but they continually find ways to handle their business and bounce back from losses that maybe they shouldn't take. Now, the negative is, of course, that they're losing certain games that you look and you say, they're kind of a head scratcher. But at the same time, this team does not seem to get overly emotionally high or emotionally low. Juan Soto's bat is heating up. His OPS is over 800, and the power is showing up. The on-base percentages rising. There's still a little work to do for the batting average. Griffin Canning has been maybe the best starter for this team, which, again, is maybe one of the biggest surprises in baseball. Kodai Senga has the best ERA in the National League over the past month, and Mets fans are sensing that there just might be something different happening with the organization as a whole. That maybe, but they got to prove it on the field, but maybe the time of the LOL Mets is coming to a bit of an end, or at least going to take a hiatus as Steve Cohen builds this franchise the way that he wants to do it. But at what point in time will anxiety kick in for Mets fans? Well, for some, they just live there permanently. There are reinforcements on the way in the potential return of Ronnie Mauricio, Brooks Raley, Frankie Montas, and Sean Manaea, and that could help pad this roster and plug a few of the holes that are currently in it as well. Number 2, you have the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yes, they are knocking on the door of number 1, but I still think that they're not quite there yet. They do have the best record in baseball, but I still don't think they look as dominant as they definitely can. Shohei Ohtani continues to heat up. 4 home runs and a 357 average just over this past week. Freddie Freeman is hitting over 400 in May. And Teoscar Hernandez, that injury needs to be watched here. It's giving an opportunity, though, for James Outman to potentially show up and make an impact once again in this roster. All right, and number 1, the reigning champion, I believe this is the 3rd week in a row, is the Detroit Tigers. Now listen, Tigers fans, you're here, and you better enjoy being here because I have you hanging on by an absolute thread, and it's mainly on the fact that you're still 7-3 in your last 10 games. That AL Central is a lot better, and that's part of the reason why I think it's important to keep the Tigers near the top of this list. You know, you can say, well, the Dodgers are top of the best division in baseball. It is very, very arguable that with this run the Twins are coming on, that, yes, there is the White Sox, but again, the West has the Rockies as well, so you really can't do it. So they both have maybe the worst team in their respective leagues. However, this AL Central looks really, really solid, and I think that they have earned this spot and need to be taken out here. So anyway, Trey Sweeney has been leading the offense over this past week, which is really a testament to the depth that they have. Riley Green, Cole Keith, Kerry Carpenter are all contributing power to this as well. Tarik Skubal continues to dominate. I think that there is definitely an argument to be made that he is the best pitcher in all of baseball right now. He has 31 strikeouts in his last 19 innings pitched, just an absolutely phenomenal rate. And Casey Mize, as their number 2 potentially here, already has 6 wins. And this could be the best 1-2 punch of pitchers in all of AL, or maybe even in all of baseball. Tigers fans are cautiously hopeful. Maybe for the first time since Miguel Cabrera, the rebuild is finally paying off as all these parts and pieces come together. Let me know who are in your top 10 below, what I got right, what I got wrong, and we will check in with you next week.